My village that I have created of women that surround me are incredible. They have become lawyers. They have become medical doctors. They have become politicians. They have become activists and artists, writers, painters, filmmakers, cultural producers on a whole. They have become also great homemakers while they were working on their dreams. We all have a responsibility to tell that story, to maintain that story, to preserve it, and to encourage more successes to come in every sphere. Why? Because we have the knowledge, we have the strength, we have the power, and because it is our responsibility to tell our own stories. So everything I've known is related to family. Everything. And when you are born in a family that has experienced the process of immigration, it adds a layer. It adds a layer that you will never be able to remove. Ever. When a child is born into a family that has immigrated from one important place, in this case for me it's Italy, or a small village in southern Italy, an invisible speck of dirt in the boot, transposing itself in a huge, vast North American territory. That experience of your parents, even before you were born, will belong to the children forever. And that break, or cette déchirure, comme on dit en français, cette déchirure tellement viscérale, so this tear in one's timeline will never be repaired, and the children will feel it for the rest of their lives. That generation will feel it for the rest of their lives. And what happens to that child or the children growing up in that environment is that they live their lives every day trying to repair that tear for their parents. Every day, even though they don't understand it. Every day they try to be better children. Every day they try to learn the language better. Every day they try to fix whatever's been broken, make it easier, ease the mother's depression, ease the father's stress at making a living, babysit for the younger siblings, do what you can to make it better, make the home that you think is supposed to be the home, but it never is enough. And if you're the eldest will take many calci in culo, come dicono. They will receive the hits and they will receive the misses and the mishaps of the parents trying to make do with what they have. So how do you live with that? Who knows that? Have we ever spoken about that? Of what that generation of children has lived and continues to live? Has anyone really looked at their suffering? Has anyone looked at the little girl's suffering? The little Italian girl born from immigrant parents, trying to make her mom happy, trying to make her father proud. And at the same time, of course, trying to fit in in a society that does not want you, and it doesn't, no matter what is said in any publicity, that was a society that did not want you the way you are. They will want you upon condition. Yeah, they will want you upon condition of speaking the language that they say, speaking the language in the way that they say it's supposed to be spoken, devoid of any color, devoid of any accent, devoid of any feeling or any meaning. Then maybe you might have a chance at beginning to be what they are looking for, beginning to be accepted. Language, of course, is not enough. There's mannerism, there's internalized culture, there's your beliefs. Everything needs to be crafted to fit into this place that really, in reality, does not want you.
I don't know, you go with that Italian film. I don't know actually why you're doing that.
Well, I feel like talking about something about me, you know, and about.
No, I know about you.
You know, I know it's.
We can talk about you in a language that everybody understand here, English.
Yeah, yes, we're gonna shoot it in English.
Yeah,
There's no French, no Italian. I just feel like exploring this thing. Yeah, but I'm screwed up because I just did an ancestry, and I realized I'm 26% Serbian.
Hey,
I don't believe it.
No, you know what? My problem is with you. I love you, that's my problem. Otherwise I'll tell you, take a walk on a wild side, my friend.
But I am going on a wild side.
Well, and then you're shooting with this lady.
Well, she's great. Eva is amazing. She's a great actress, and she can talk about being Italian, which I will never be able to do. And, you know, she's beautiful. She's a woman. We're men.
Listen, I'm not saying that she's not good. But you concentrate now totally for this woman. So maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe you see something that's I didn't. That's it.
But the same way as I did the other films with you about your reality,
Yeah.
I feel like coming out forward and talk about this other reality that has inhabited me for 70 years. 70 years, I never really asked that question. You know, it's an important question. Who am I? What does it mean? What does it mean? Because our generation has changed the way culture works in this country. You, me, people of our generation. When we're dead, it's going to be very different. So it's important for us to leave something, a document about what we were trying to do. Do you understand?
Yes.
I know you're upset, but you know you have to understand. I wanted to do something about Italians, but I want to work with you.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let's do something about you not being able to.
No. I'm upset. No, not really, but I'm kind of bother me. Trying to understand you, and why you doing. Why Antonioni doing this stuff? I offer you something else. Well, and then you jump, you find, now if I say Eva again, Eva is gonna be pissed off on me one day, whatever.
I don't know why you would be so upset about this desire in me to explore.
No, I understand legacy. You going for legacy. Yes,
That's right.
yes. Me too. I'm not saying.
So you gotta trust me.
I always did.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah, no, you gotta
I
trust me on
always
this.
trust
You know. All right.
Listen, I'm not fighting. I love you. They offered me to play Italian, okay, so I did. After screening a film, some Italian approached me. They don't attack me or whatever, but they complaining to me, to director, to a lot of people. How come he choose guy who is not Italian to play Italian? Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
You know, well, come on, it's a bunch of crap. If you're a good actor, you can act to be anybody, anything you want to be. Being Italian and getting a role because you're Italian is absolutely stupid.
I have a friend who is using, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I'm so proud I'm Italian.
Well, good for you.
No, I say, yeah, okay, but did you choose to be born like Italian?
Exactly,
You didn't choose. Nobody asked you.
Yeah, the luck of the draw, man. And I was born in Italy. But, you know, I identify with Italians. Yeah, when say, "Yeah, you're Italian," I say, "Yeah, I'm Italian." But if I, you know, in all honesty, I have little to do with Italians. And when I got to the hometown, it was fascinating. But you don't, because again, I was.
It's gone, eh? It's gone. You are so many
18 months
years
old. You know, it was very hard to really relate. You know.
Yes.
So I found it a little difficult at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was there recently, and I thought that I was going to have some kind of visceral reaction to going back to the hometown, but it was sort of like,
you know what? On the end of this life, physical, nobody asks in the spiritual world, are you Italian? No. Yeah. There is no nationality.
To quote somebody, we all become topsoil anyway.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
While we were traveling, we ended up in Basilicata, and I was always curious about Francis Ford Coppola's identity, which he had with his father and grandfather, and he had his beautiful hotel, and we stopped there to have a drink, and we meet Eva in a very occasional manner. I didn't even know who she was at this point, but she was a beautiful woman, and I was very attracted to her as a photographer. I approached her and I says, "Can I please take a picture of you?" Thinking, how could I put it? Part of my entourage of pictures, of portraits that I try to expand, of beautiful women who have a certain age, which like I have and what like my wife has, and I'm very fascinated by this approach of the tender age, let's call it this way. We talked briefly. I was saying, listen, I'm a photographer, but you have to understand, I only do film photography. I don't do digital photography. In other words, I want you to appreciate me when I talk to you, because in film photography, you must understand that you have to talk to be understood, because what she may expect is not maybe, it's that certain perfection that digital photography does, where in film photography, it's sort of the Marilyn Monroe look. And I tried to explain this to her. I'm not too sure if I succeeded, but anyways, we did manage to have a few seances. She asked me to come to Canada to do a sort of a photography session, because she saw some of my work, and she was influenced by it, and she liked the way I was approaching life and seeing a certain reality, and having a wonderful moment with a visual contact with people. That's what impressed her.
My personal life has always been intertwined with my art. I want to live as if always in preparation for some radiant ceremony. My destiny is in these hands. I make the shape I am. Soul of a hawk, a wild, winged thing, full of secrets. It may be self-serving, still, it's a wondrous thought all one holds that's hidden, our invisible spaces, guarding them. I consider a right that it's taken a lifetime to own. I've been inspired by timeless women, especially in the last few years. The roles I choose to give voice to more and more feel like a reclaiming, a gathering back of parts of myself. Artemisia, Veronica Franco, Theodora, Ginevra, Eleonore Duse. These are parts that have always been here and shown up as other women in other times. Time's sister selves, connected through stars. The women I play at being and inhabit are all shadows of my own soul, my Italic soul, the Ciurluini in me. We are all food for the gods. To offer the goddess Maat when crossing over to the field of reeds. I was raised in the mother's mysteries. I know the arms of the living goddess. I was taught to hold trance states and weave magic, trained to summon the glamour at will, bend laws of time and space, and rend the veils of worlds. To me, there are invisible worlds more full and more real than what we've called reality. One works to be a torchbearer. I have been here. I am she who endures. Paint my tomb with images of honey cakes and beer. We rouse, hungry from that slumber. Our task is the remembering. Oh, can you hear it? The cardinal singing at twilight. It's my favorite sound in the world. It's the sound of how I want to live.
Sono 2 anni ormai che mi sono incastrata in una storia, lei è di Grembi, quindi c'è poco da fare.
Ma lei non può venire a Roma?
Viene quando non lavora.
Che lavoro fa?
Perché lei è un'insegnante, lavora a SEGEP, è un'insegnante di fisioterapia, più o meno.
Ok. Più o meno.
No, più o meno, perché poi
sì,
qui è un po' tutto difficile, come le materie ogni anno cambiano, e quindi lei lavora tipo da metà gennaio fino a giugno. A giugno viene lei a Roma e poi ritorniamo qui, però quest'anno io torno più tardi, intorno a settembre, poi fino a dicembre, poi scendiamo insieme a Roma e poi si ritorna qui, insomma un po'.
Ok.
Un po' di incastri così.
Un po' di incastri, tanti viaggi.
Sì,
tanti
sì.
Viaggi.
Sì, quello sì.
Attraversi l'Atlantico molto spesso.
What drives me crazy is that I think I'm always writing the same book. I used to watch a film and then by the same director, I'd see 2 or 3 of his films, and I thought, man, that guy only has 1 film. Why does he bother making more? My favorite authors, the same thing. I'd read their books. There was one that I really liked, and then the others, I thought they were copies of the same. And then I started writing. And I like what I write. But it's always the same thing. Belcourt, it's always the immigrant child. He goes back to find out why he feels guilty about something that he didn't do. In The Cousin, again, the immigrants goes back to Sicily. He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to think about it, but goes there, and he finds this world of duality, sexual duality, and he doesn't understand. And he has these dual feelings. The main character has these dual feelings, and again, it's the immigrant caught in between. What the hell? I mean, it's supposed to be about sexuality, and it's about the immigrant. Then I moved to another story about this Irish guy who's got BIID, body image integrity disorder, and he doesn't believe his left arm belongs to him. So the whole story is about him trying to convince people that he's not crazy. Then he finally can't convince people, so he cuts it off. And at that point he's happy. Well, of course, it's about immigration again, and you have to cut something off to be happy. And now I just finished another one, and it's the same thing. A couple. One guy wants to go one way back to Sicily, and the woman wants to stay in Canada. She's Canadian. She's not an immigrant. It's the same story. And I started thinking about my next book. I go, oh, I'm going to write the same story again. And this writing, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I do want to write. And I do believe those stories are interesting in some ways, even though themes, the metaphors, I think they're good. And maybe people should read them, because other immigrants are going to come and they're all going to feel the same way that I felt. So maybe there's value in it.
It started when I was about 13. I fell in love with this girl who looked just like Françoise Hardy. And I used to be in class, and it was math class, and I was sitting at the back end of the row, and there was a window behind me, and her turn for it coincided with this girl's lunch hour. Okay, so she was outside in the schoolyard, and I kept on going up like this and trying to look at her, and the teacher says, Yolanda, what the hell's wrong with you? Stop jumping jack. And I said, but miss, there's and that's when it occurred to me. I said, this is not normal.
No, that's the thing. But did you feel a little bit surprised?
She said, Yolanda, what are you doing? It suddenly occurred to me. Says, oh my God. This is not normal.
And let me try to explain this. But, however, I have to say that I think most folks go through that. I mean, you see a beautiful person, a beautiful body, and you say, well, I'm attracted to her, regardless of the gender. And that's but it's amazing that you would appreciate that there's this a woman that that I'm physically attracted to.
But the only way I could justify it was that this girl looked like Françoise Hardy, who I thought was absolutely...
And you were physically attracted to her.
And then the next one looked like Audrey Hepburn.
Oh.
They always had to look like a movie star, you see?
Okay.
Because this is the only way I could justify the appreciation. But I had no idea that it was a sexual attraction.
But when did you put this into practice the first time?
Well, when I met Katerina, it was like...
Yeah, you blew.
She was the only Italian
really
girl I mean, we went to high school together. I mean, high school was 99% Italian. And she was the first woman, a girl, I mean, we were like 14, that I knew like girls. Apart from her being absolutely gorgeous.
Well, you know what? I have to say that she is gorgeous because I was attracted to her too.
Oh, she had something so...
No, because she looked like Mick Jagger.
Yes! The most exquisite mouth ever.
I know. You just want to...
It was, oh my God. I remember walking down St. Denis Street and people actually stopping her and saying, oh my God, you know, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was like, she's mine.
He was a source of inspiration for me, a mentor, always moving, always exploring, always creating. Early on, when I started to get into the art more seriously myself, he was somebody I looked to as an example, somebody who was a constant gardener, dedicated. He loved the arts. He loved to promote the arts. Over the years, I've seen him develop and create initiatives and events specifically for that. He was the director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce, and the man that he was in a perfect position with the focus to bring business and art together. He was so impassioned. He encouraged me and he demonstrated to me what it meant to be dedicated. I'm going to miss him greatly. I know a lot of people are going to miss him greatly. For his courage, for his imagination, for his intelligence, his curiosity, his generosity. Somebody that never took advantage of any position he ever had. Somebody who very approachable and giving. I mean, I said a lot of words, and at the same time, I feel like I've said nothing because I don't know whether or not anything will ever kind of contextualize how I feel about him. I'm going to greatly miss him.
I might have been in fourth grade, and I was ready to get my first communion, which eventually did. And coming back from my last confession before, I could actually eat Christ's body, I felt very light. I felt very connected, to something. But I don't have a good memory, but I even remember the little skirt that I had on. Imagine, so it was an important moment for me. And I believed it also my own way, because I'm also a free spirit. I'm very liberal, so regulation and laws cannot make me like, oh, I don't want to do it. If you force me to do something, I feel like I don't want to do it, which I think is also very human. I believed it until a few years later, the same priest, il parroco, who gave me my first communion, touched my boobs. I was in 8th grade. I've never been good in math, and he was very good. And I used to live across from him, basically. And I asked him for help, and he said, oh, yes, Anna, yes, come in. And I don't remember if we really were doing geometry or math, but anyway, something. I was writing on the board. And I was a chubby child. And I trusted this man with all my heart. And more than perhaps I would trust, my own father. And I was writing on the board a formula, I don't remember what. At a certain point, I felt this present getting very, very close to me. And these hands, heavy, it's not with us anymore, but it was a big man, on my breast. And they said, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? it was very weird, a very strange sensation, because I did right there and then, I didn't even realize that it was him. I didn't even realize what was happening. I guess I found an excuse, though, that I needed to go or something, because things didn't look right, didn't sound right, didn't feel right. And I went home, and I think I told my mom, and I think I told my grandmother, my mom's mom, and I think they both told me, yeah, but shut up. We just don't say these things. And it was a very difficult moment for me. I couldn't understand why, more than shut up, I will say the right words will be suck it up. That's what my grandmother told me, suck it up. Somebody whom I loved dearly. My grandmother was my second mom. I realized that we tend in the West, and I'm not suggesting that this doesn't happen in the East as well or in India, right? But in the West, we tend to eat with our mind more than with our body. So we tend to feed our body more than what it needs. I was a binge eater. I always went to food for comfort.
He's going to rest there, but we also know.
No, the money was never an issue with me. That's not the point. I just say it because it would have made life physically
more comfortable.
More comfortable. Other than that, but that's just it's like anything. If I would have stayed as a mechanic, I'd be making $50 an hour.
You do have free will. And that's been a major struggle with humanity, the fact that you have free will and people want to deny it. Because, let's face it, being human is not easy. Okay? It's far from being easy. They have freedom, not enough. They have democracy, not enough. They want to go back to the activistic ways where, you got to be controlled.
He's losing his vision.
You know that girl? She never got married. Yeah, that one. She lives alone. I think she even drives by herself at night. Yeah. No one knows. Poor girl. She has a few friends. Their friends all got married, huh? Their friends got married. Chissà che c'è successo. I don't know. So then I would have to live. If I were to get married, maybe I would be happy. Maybe I'd have somebody who would look at me in the eye and say, "Me, you're freaking special. You're freaking special." Let me tell you though, nothing amazing about me. Nothing amazing. In fact, I'm not the only one here living this situation. We are thousands and thousands of women, Italian women in Montreal, living through this experience day in and day out, whether we are married, whether we are engaged, whether we're alone, whether we belong to the LGBTQ plus community. We all live through this struggle every single day. So when we walk with our heads up high and we're not that smiling, and we become a little abrupt and direct and a bit neurotic, and you think we lack kindness when in fact we're full of love and misunderstood love. Think back at what I just said today. Think back at everything that we've lived through and everything that we've internalized from other people's lives.
What's missing in Toronto and Canada is critical analysis, essay writing an essay, writing some critical analysis on the writing that's done by Italian Canadian writers. Yeah, of course, you see some here and there, a little bit here, a little bit there. But there wasn't enough of it. I think if there was more of it, it would bring the community together, the writing community together, because we're not talking about critical analysis in terms of you always have to say something critical, something negative about whatever you are reading, but it opens a discussion. People can talk about it, and by the talking about it, it brings other people into the fold.
Sono stati loro, gli italiani, che mi hanno detto: ok, qui mo sei in un altro paese, devi fare le cose in una maniera diversa. Cioè, per esempio, io sono arrivata, non conoscevo la lingua per niente. E allora mi hanno messo a lavorare con questa donna che mi sembra veniva da Bologna. Sono tutta contenta, vado da lei e fa, ok, era un posto italiano, un supermercato italiano dove si facevano anche panini eccetera, e lei mi fa: ok Anna, tu sei qua e allora siccome tu non sai la lingua ti devi dimenticare che sai l'italiano, perché io con te non parlerò in italiano. Tu fai i panini e io parlo con i clienti. Perciò io non pratico molto gli italiani, non sono più attaccata all'Italia. Non lo faccio, non ritorno mai. L'ultima volta che sono ritornata è stata 10 anni fa.
Tonight there is sadness in my heart and I really don't understand why. I've been walking the streets of Salerno sul corso Vittorio Emanuele, and I see the youth of all ages, the youth young, babies and their families, the new teens, the young adults, the older adults in their 30s, all out, all together, all happy, all living, all eating and enjoying and experiencing and expressing and being full of life and smoking and it's inexplicable, the energy that I feel while I'm walking the viale of Salerno Centro. And I think to myself, where was I? How come I didn't have this experience while I was growing up? Sitting in the basement watching Days of Our Lives, and that was my entertainment. And then I think of my girls as well. What are they going to do for entertainment? What are they going to do? Where is the piazza in Montreal? Where is the piazza in Canada? The immigrants have lost their piazza, really. And then at the same time I say to myself, maybe the piazza is just a mirage, just an oasis. It is just a place to meet, to know, and to affirm that we need to meet, that we need to be together, that we need to exchange. No matter what, we need to be together. And the women here are expressing themselves. And yet I feel so contained, but at the same time I want to live. And I want to eat all the cornetti and la pasta con la crema, le fritture di pesce, and all the wonderful foods that I am generally intolerant of when I'm in Montreal. Isn't that peculiar? I'm intolerant of food in Montreal, and yet when I come here, that same food does not cause me indigestion. Yet it pains me to know that I, in some shape or form, was deprived of that food. I mean, sure, food is just an image right now. It is a metaphor for what was supposed to be mine, or what I was supposed to experience or have lived. I didn't get to live or taste or experience at a fraction of a second just because somewhere, somehow a decision was made. And then I look at my parents now that we are traveling together, and I look at them. They're smiling, but they're tired, and their eyes are tired. There is remorse in their heart, but at the same time, joy. of being back in their land, but yet anger for having left, anger for not having the choice. How does that feel? I wonder. They cannot find their place either, nor their footing. And imagine being with me, their daughter, symbol of their experience in Canada. I was born exactly 9 months after they immigrated into Canada. Yet my father reminiscing of his young teenage years in Salerno, studying in college. And my mother reminiscing of the fact that she was pulled out of school so that she would not study but take care of her brothers. And I have inherited that past. I have inherited that story. And of course that makes me conflicted.
How many times have I made this crossing, back and forth across seas of different shades, of different weather and different emotions, sailing upon the sea known as Salish. My pacing challenges the ship's flow and glide. This crossing full of reminiscence and removal begins and ends in its own presence. How many times have I made this crossing? Back and forth across seas of different shades, of different weather and different emotions. Sailing upon the sea known as Salish, my pacing challenges the ship's flow and glide. This crossing full of reminiscence and removal begins and ends in its own presence.
Stayed there for a few weeks and then came down to France, was in Paris for a couple of months, worked in Paris, didn't hear any Irish accents, it was all, predominantly French, of course. And then you had, your étranger, you had your different nationalities visiting the big city, Montmartre, and everything else. But I was staying with an Italian family at the time, and they had a little restaurant bistro, and it was their menu was predominantly Italian food, but with some French influence in it as well, because you can't be just serving Italians all day, you got to serve the French as well. So I ended up working in the kitchen, washing pots and cleaning vegetables. And one day, an Irish man and woman came into the restaurant to eat, but the owners couldn't understand what they were saying. But they were speaking English. But they couldn't understand a word they were saying. So the owners asked where they were from, and they said Ireland, because they thought they were speaking English. They must be from America. So they went Ireland. They went, ah! So they come out, they get me. I come into the restaurant. I'm 18 at the time, and they're like, so where are you from? Blah 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 blah. So I end up. The owner comes over, puts a stool in beside me, and he gets me to sit down at the table with this couple. And he's like, okay, so the order and all the rest of it. And I'm like, okay, now you've ordered and the owners are happy, continue. The owner comes over and he goes, no. And he comes over and he makes the bowl of pat for me. And I sit down, I'm sitting there with this couple. And they finish their meal and I say goodbye to them and have a good trip. And then afterwards I asked the owner, why had you let me sit down why wasn't I going back to, and he went, because you smiled. You were smiling, you were happy. So after that I was like, okay, that's cool. But that for me was like, okay, I knew these were nice people anyhow to begin with. They'd taken me into their home. I lived upstairs above the restaurant. I was working downstairs. Yeah, I wasn't getting paid much, but I had a cover over my head and I was being fed. And I was learning a little bit of Italian, a little bit of French. I was experiencing a new country. But at the same time, they were welcoming me into their family. But because they had realized that there was something missing, and when they heard how I was speaking to those other people with my accent and everything else, they were just more open. And after that, they wanted to know more about Ireland then. So every couple of days they go, does this exist in Ireland? Because they thought we were maybe a third world country. You know, do you have this in Ireland? It's like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We don't have pasta, really, but we have other stuff. So yeah, that you'll find Irish everywhere in the world. Why? I don't know. There's nothing written in the book that says we have to travel. But we're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
You go anywhere nowadays, and there's an Irish pub in any kind of a half decent city. There's an Irish pub.
Caitlin came into my life in my 50s, and by that time, it wasn't a question of finding out that I was gay. It was a question of enjoying my sexuality.
Well, hey.
And the only way I could do that was through Caitlin, because she was so curious. And it was like, okay, I am going to teach her what it's like to love a woman in bed.
How much younger was she?
Oh, she was 19 years younger.
Woo! Nice.
But it was the best experience of my life, because ultimately it's like I affirmed myself and I could be free without having the cultural, the societal, the pressures. I don't regret it for a minute.
How beautiful! No, but how beautiful is that?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, come on.
It was beautiful.
And then you put this all into some kind of perspective. You understand that?
I had a very, yes, fortunate. I was so fortunate.
No kidding. Come on.
Women are absolutely.
And what happened?
Now I'm celibate.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but anyway, how did the whole thing with Caitlin end? Because that could have been that must have been as well. It's not as heartrending as what you with the.
I wanna finish my life rejoicing in that utter freedom of expressing myself sexually and having a reciprocal.
Out with a bang and then not
with a bang.
Am I Canadian or am I Italian? This is very, very particular, because when I'm in Italy and I say I'm Canadian, they look at me as an immigrant. When I'm in Canada and I say I'm Italian, they look at me as an immigrant. And I would say, well, wait a minute, I'm Canadian-Italian, or am I Italian-Canadian? Either way, I'm still always an immigrant. Unfortunately, my wife, if there's one thing that is very particular, she enjoys tremendously visiting every place that she could lay her feet on. And it's very difficult for me because I get to a moment of passion of being together and a moment of history, which in Italy you must understand, and in most of Europe, is there's tremendous cultural identities of the past. You see a historical feeling that you sort of say, but these people are fabulous. These were people who worked with their hands in a way that I don't understand why we don't see this today.
I think this is me because it's got spritzer stuff in it. He's turning over.
Somebody else got my gargoyle. Somebody else got my gargoyle. I'm not unique.
Yeah, he ain't resting in peace.
There's some really cool pieces you're doing.
Oh, thanks.
Some of the new ones you have for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're going to do the head first and then I want to find the body. Yeah.
That is funny.
I got lucky with that. It's
Yes,
cool, eh?
yes.
The birds kind of, I guess, scaring them away, but not really able to.
There's something, like impregnated with herself.
And that was when the war broke out in Israel and Palestine, Gaza. That was called Sticks and Stones, the little places there. So it's funny, I got stopped at customs, he's like, there's something sharp in your carry on. I was like, it's just wood. Oh, this way, miss. And I had like 5 pieces of wood. He goes, yeah, don't be doing that again. You know?
Reminds me a little bit of Midsummer Night's Dream,
Yeah.
Even your material, like the texturing you're adding here,
That's maple leaf keys.
That's really inventive, I think.
Yeah, and those are glasses that were on Roncesvalles run over by some truck, I guess.
Look at this one. The feather.
And the eyelashes.
And the
are feather.
eyelashes.
Yeah, you can see I had a lot of fun, eh?
Yes.
I like her, I just finished her. I like her face.
She's pregnant with a placenta.
Yeah, with a wishbone.
Hoping
that, it turns out okay.
Wax for it to be this color, like for the purposes of even for the bronze work.
It's a good
certain kind of
modeling wax.
I
Yeah,
see.
so when there's encaustic painters will use a white wax.
Okay.
And it's the exact same formula. It's a microcrystalline
So
based
it's that or
wax.
this kind of thing?
But the white, there's no depth, so it's very hard to
Yes.
carve with the dark wax.
But in terms of options, like that
Yeah,
are
no,
out
this
there,
is it.
You're not getting it like neon red.
No.
Okay. So,
No,
okay.
so it's different grades of brown,
Yeah.
but usually it's brown. Although last time I got some, it was purple, and that was not very nice.
It wouldn't absorb any color though, would it?
You could
create
color it with oil paints.
You can color it would be surface, but you couldn't create an impasto that made it red right through, right?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it would be absorbent.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, 33 years ago when I graduated from OCAD.
Ah, nice. I'm
And so
okay
since
at
then.
one there as well.
Oh, are you? Yeah. So 33 years.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I had a job and.
And that's where you learned some of the core stuff for OCAD, or is that sort of later on?
Oh, OCAD, I studied mostly painting and drawing. It was the last year that I realized sculpting was where all my imagination was gonna.
That's cool.
And it was actually kind of nice to not have that instruction. I'm glad I started with this because this is where I really learned the skill. Yeah, I mean, my anger has been on. Like I work.
He wasn't the right person for me. And I'm happy that I divorced him. But it was my vehicle, in a way, to come here. But again, I never thought of, I never saw myself as being, first and foremost, an immigrant, and certainly not to live in America, because, in Europe and in Italy, especially when I grew up, America was like the evil, the evil country where, only money were important. It was just a business, and even just to talk, thinking about capital punishment, something outside of my sphere of experience, and not only personal experience but cultural experience. It was very difficult for me to think about that. So America was a no for me, and guess what? I spent the last 22 years in the U.S. Yeah, it's interesting how life works, and I don't think I really have the drive to even go visit Italy. I don't know, I have these moments in which I really want to go, and then I never go, and I have this nostalgia, I want to visit places, and then I go, no, I don't have anything to do really there.
Eva, no, Eva, no. Well, I'm okay. Actually, I feel a little bit happy, and then also, what I want to say, I'm happy, but in the same time, I'm a kind of skeptic what other people is gonna Yeah, it's about job. That's what I'm talking. So you know what's happened? Yeah, they offered me job. Film job, yes. Yeah, but I am happy. I know, I am happy. But let me explain you. I have to play Italian guy. Oh man. No. What's gonna happen? I got a lot of Italian friends. There's good actors. They might kind of be a little bit jealous. Well, I care, you know. It's easy to say don't worry, don't care. I care because they're my friends. So yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I would love to. I need to work. Yeah. Yes, I need to work. But you know what I'm gonna do? Eva, listen. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stay on a line, and regardless what anybody say to me, I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna carry on, and I'm gonna go forward. Yeah. Thank you. You agree? Okay. Yeah. Beautiful.
I'm a poet, a bit of a visual artist, educator, publisher, gambler, lover, and a sinner. I started using black paint and improvising, and I came up with these sort of abstract pieces. Actually, I don't even consider this visual art. I think this is a kind of writing. These are hieroglyphics, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not quite sure what the hieroglyphics are indicating. But I've done a whole bunch of them. Actually, another name I have for these are noctograms, night writing. And right now, I believe my mind is kind of in a nightly state. And that it's exploring some kind of a night and recording it. Again, I'm not really sure what's going on. There's generally no direction. And I let the materials or the language take me where it needs to go. And again, I never really understand what the significance, especially these pieces here. I really don't know what they are about. But I like them. And maybe I'll frame a couple. The other thing I've been doing a lot of is writing poetry. It's funny that I consider myself a poet, even though I don't believe that poetry exists yet, and that poets exist yet. I think poetry is something on the verge of happening, and poets are on the verge of happening. When language has the same immediate effect as music, when the words that I speak to you affect you the way music does, that immediacy, then we have poetry. And maybe the spoken and the written word can't do that. Maybe poetry is going to have to come some other way, and not through words. And all what we call poetry now will essentially become obsolete and forgotten. And I kind of look forward to that, because even our immortals will be forgotten. As the great poets of the dead languages have been forgotten. And I kind of celebrate the fact that we're all going to be forgotten, because that gives me permission to do whatever I want, because it really doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter, I am free. And because I'm going to be neglected, I'm free. So let me indulge. Here's another piece, another noctogram. And they belong on the ground. That's where these belong. That's where these belong. I kind of like this one. There's a suggestion of a window, some sort of a planet. But again, I'm not supposed to be seeing anything here. It is what it is.
Even, if I'm with somebody who just speaks Italian, I cannot speak Italian. It's so weird. It's weird. And sometimes when I speak Italian with my students who don't understand Italian, it's just language. It's just weird. The way we approach it, the way we feel it, the way we use it. It was very difficult at first because when I came to the US, I didn't speak English at all. So I really needed to start from scratch. And so how I did it is I didn't do it in the sense that it was just a silence around me. There was no language until I started producing some kind of sounds that reminded somehow of the English language. The way I started learning the language was I actually translated each and every word every time I read anything. I remember going to Barnes & Noble one day. It was my first few weeks in America. And I was so excited. It was such a beautiful bookstore. And I said to myself, one day I will be able to read anything that I can pick from the shelves. And eventually that day, arrived. But I started just translating each and every word in each paragraph. And it was very difficult because I couldn't communicate the way I could communicate in Italian, which I think I knew my language very well. And being a writer, I always wanted to write since I was a child, Being a writer and you take the words away from a writer is like taking the colors away from a painter. It was very difficult for me and affected my life emotionally and personally and professionally as well. Maybe after 6 months or so, I was in the US. At a certain point I was listening to the CNN. It was in the morning. And I started understanding when the anchor was talking, when the word started and ended. And they said, oh, okay, so I could understand the breaks within the sentences. And that was, and I felt like a river defrosting in my ears, or like to put it in another way, when you go underwater and you don't hear anything, and then as you emerge from the water you start hearing things. This is how I felt, like having like a crack literally in my ears, and it was a beautiful sensation. I remember I called my mom and said, Mom, I can finally understand English, some of it. And finally, then eventually I was able to go back to school and get my degrees.
There's studies out there saying that the Italian culture, the Italian language is going to at one point disappear because they're not reproducing, so they have a very big problem. But then again, the natural evolution of languages is that it changes. So who knows what's going to happen in Italy in the next 20, 30 years. If the Italians don't reproduce, then the language is going to change. So, as it should be. Sometimes I think what goes on in these countries, and they refuse to accept other languages to participate to participate in the national zeitgeist. I have the same thing. Born in Italy, my first language was supposedly is Italian, but it isn't. English is very natural to me. It is in essence my first language.
But you speak Italian, eh?
Very badly. Very badly. I tell you, when we first got here, my parents sent me to an Italian school on a Saturday morning, and I was such a prick. I got thrown out because You know, not because of the language.
Yeah.
I was upset because I had to go to school on a Saturday morning.
No, I know.
So, and which case, well, I shot myself in the foot, right? Later on in life, I said, well, you know, maybe I should have taken those classes. It would have improved my language.
Did they speak Italian at home?
They spoke Italian. No, we spoke our language.
Yeah. I go in a restaurant with either one Serbian guy or two or more. And they speak Serbian. Here in Canada, Italians speak more English than Serbian when they are together.
Why would you insist on other than the case of say I want to educate my children so they know another language? But other than that,
maybe
there are very few parents who do that. For the most part, I know a few, but for the most part, they don't really give a damn.
Well, maybe
as long as they can communicate on a very basic level, they're happy.
Yeah. You know, some parents, they don't want to lose cultural language, and they.
Yeah, then why move? If you're so adamant about this,
if you ask them why they move,
so adamant, why move? Don't give me the economic aspects of
that's
it.
what they're going to tell you.
Why the hell move?
That's exactly economic what you're saying.
Why is there 100 million Italians all over the world? You know,
it is.
If you had stayed there, maybe you could have done something to make the country better.
In Calabria, economically, they was not okay, like on the north side in Italy, and they move out in Australia, United States, Canada,
all over the world.
All over. So there's some more from Calabria people out. You know, you are from Adriatic. That's a different. You can see Dalmatian coast across the.
Yeah, Albania and Yugoslavia.
Yeah, across the water there.
Montenegro, and basically we're Greeks anyway. So.
yeah. But you know what, Nick? I should care less.
Exactly. You should care less.
I should really care less. Like you saying to me, I worry for a lot of things what people saying. But 2, 3, 5 years from now, nobody give a shit.
Are you surprised? She spends hours choosing what dress to wear, what lipstick to color her lips with, what perfume to sprinkle on her skin, the precise quantity of perfume. She knows what to drink, when to drink. What is it? Sex? Fantasy? Obsession? True love. Lack of love. Film's not the place where you find that sort of treasure. Come on. Put on a suit, tidy up, get a haircut.
Eva, oh my God. Eva, it's incredible woman. I met her and then we go for drink, for coffees. She's bringing me a lot of presents and stuff like that. Just telling me how much she loves me and everything. And suddenly, one day, she disappeared. Every time she was with me, she's looking on a watch, and around 2:30, she said, "Oh my God, it's so traffic. I live far away. I don't want to drive through traffic." She was married, and she's still married. She likes to go in from cafe to cafe. And I introduced her to film actors, and she loves that. They take picture of her, like with me, and kind of, because she lives kind of regular life with her husband. She's never going to divorce husband because she got kind of safe place there, but she needs me for fun. She got husband who is a poor guy working hard, whatever he's doing, I don't know. And then she got some dreamer actor who it's fun to be with him. She didn't like to hear when I said, hey, listen, I got freedom and you don't, and it's so priceless. She want to keep me close to her. She doesn't want me to go with anybody else, but I'm strong and I'm going further. I'm not waiting for her or for anybody like that. You know, selfish people, greedy people, stubborn people, narcissists, just push them away. Let them go immediately from your life. Otherwise, they love to destroy. They need your energy. They like to eat your energy. That's their food.
Let's make sure that you're taking care of your parents and that you are living your life like a good little girl should. You know those good little girls? Yeah. You're never good enough. Then, of course, from 9 a.m. to 3:30 in the afternoon, that little girl goes to school in a context she has never known before. But not only she, the rest of her family and the relatives in Italy don't know what your life is like. Don't know what your life is like to change boots 3 times. Don't know what your life is like to lose a mitten at minus 30 degrees. And nor does the teacher care that you've lost your mitten, because you should have known not to lose your mitten, and now your hand is going to freeze. No pity. Just learn the language. Just learn the language. Are you saying 3 or tree? Where are you from? You can't speak properly, can't you? Ma come l'avete educata questa qui? Ma guarda un po', non parla nemmeno l'italiano. Speaking 3 languages is not enough. Living within 3 languages is certainly not enough. You were born with these characteristics that are meaningless to everyone else. It's like a defect, you know? It's like a defect. Povera te, poor you. And you know what's the worst part of it? No one knows about this history. No one cares. No one reflects on the fact that, look, what I am today, what I'm doing today is a direct consequence of all these experiences that I've lived through, all these multiple lives that I've lived through. And I have internalized the lives of my immigrant parents. I've internalized the lives and the experiences of my grandparents that I never met and that I carry their name.
Io sono la tua carne, tu sei la mia anima. Prendi quest'anima e mutala in carne. Questo è il cielo, tu sei la mia terra. Questa è polvere, trasformala in fuoco. Questa è una nuvola, tu sei un canto di balena. Prendi la mia carne, conducimi al tuo pozzo. Tu sei il mio riparo. Disperdi la notte. Le foglie sono motori celesti, eliche che si muovono contro l'acqua e la fanghiglia. Questa è la mia carne. Concedimi i tuoi sortilegi. Perché siamo tanto imperfetti? Perché siamo pieni di voragini? Tu sei farina. Io sono sabbia. Un toro attraversa la città come un dannato. Una fiamma arde in tutto. Tutto arde in quella fiamma. Questa è la mia parola, questo è il tuo vocabolo. Tramutami in verbo, tramutiamoci in frase. Prendi questo sandalo, donami un ramo, dipingimi come un'icona, danziamo la tarantella. Le mie dita sono lerce, questa è una nuvola, ecco il cuore, ecco la pelle con la quale si avvolge l'alito interiore. Regalami un iris, cavalca sulle mie ali, una fiamma arde in tutto.
I don't have a handle on the future. I see myself getting old, and I don't see enough energy in young writers. I hope to see more of it. That's why I keep going to events where there are writers, and I'd like to see where the energy is these days. I don't see as much. I see the people I used to hang around with. They had energy. Those writers had energy. Now a lot of them are dead. Some are dying, and I don't see where this energy is going to come from. So I'm not hopeful. I'm not hopeful at all. I hate saying that. Be proud to be part of a community, the community of writers that have something to say, to have a voice. And it doesn't matter what you have to say. You just need to say it because it will resonate with someone. My kids are happy to belong in Canada. Very happy to belong in downtown Toronto. Very happy to belong in the careers that they have chosen. Very different than me. I'm always thinking about, yeah, do I really belong here? But them, no, they know. I got no issues with that. They got issues with the world, politics, social life, and so on. But no, not about belonging. They belong.
Tourtière. Au port. Puisqu'elle existe dans sa version pruneau.
Pruneau, et moi je n'aime pas.
Toi, tu n'as aucun risque de consanguinité parce que tu es issu d'une mère lando-italienne et d'un père espagnol, pied noir, parisien. Donc là, la consanguinité, il n'y en a pas. Mais non, et Alexis, il sait très bien qu'il est d'origine italienne, espagnole, et
de toute façon,
la consanguinité là-dedans. Et c'est important. Et c'est pour ça que pour moi, c'était très important qu'on aille à Clausetto, qu'on aille en Italie. Et voilà, il a adoré. Il a adoré l'Italie.
Well, I just came out of the funeral parlor. Filippo passed. It's, I mean, what to say? With him dies also a part of what makes us a part of history of being Italian in Montreal. And really, what does that mean? Well, Filippo really explained that in a very conscious way. He took his place, and in doing so, he gave us all place, and he gave us all space. So it just makes me wonder. I mean, I'm glad that I was curious enough to want to know about what it means to be Italian in Montreal, what it means to be Italian in Quebec and in Canada. What really does that mean? How do we take our place? Well, we take our place by writing, by telling our own stories, by researching, by contextualizing all our experiences, by giving us history, right? Giving us history, giving us meaning, giving us presence. We exist through Filippo, right? Through Filippo's work. And why don't we have access to all this work? His books and his writings and his teachings and his presence should be everywhere in all universities, in all Canadian universities, in all American universities. Instead, they weren't. When I wanted to do my work and I had questions about myself and my history, well, I had to depend on individuals who also had that same curiosity. Very few individuals, but they had that same curiosity, and they directed me towards Filippo and his work and his books, and I was fortunate enough to be able to speak to him. And yes, he was flamboyant, and yes, he was open about his scholarly work, but who wouldn't be, and why wouldn't you not be? You don't just exist because you say you exist. You also have to take active action to exist. That means taking a position. That means being open about who you are, about giving the description of who you are, about carrying forth your history, carrying forth your experiences, carrying forth what makes you you, and what makes an Italian Montrealer. I mean, it's really, you have to define it, right? Because what we like is categories instead. We're either pizza panini or the Italian American or the Canadian Italian, but no, Filippo, that's what he gave us. He gave us a sense of self, and he gave us agency. You know what that means, agency? Agency means that we have power. We have a say. We have a voice, and we need to use that voice. I mean, it's through, let's say, Filippo's presence that I was able to discover other authors, other artists that talk about the same feeling of sometimes isolation, right? Of being Italian in Montreal. But what does it mean even to be a woman of Italian descent in Montreal? Really, what does that mean? Well, let me tell you something. It's damn hard to be an Italian woman Montrealer. Oh, let's not forget. We have to adapt. We have to integrate into the mainstream North American culture. And let's not forget either that we need to integrate into the Quebecois mainstream culture. God forbid that we'd be a little more, call it different, call it having a contrast to this Quebecois culture. You can't. Or maybe you have to survive. I don't know. Daring to think for herself, daring to be able to explain herself, daring to pursue her studies, to not really give a shit about the rest of her family. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Because if you do, be prepared to be the black sheep for the rest of your life.
The Gulf Stream of Paradise is close by. You don't know the location, not exactly. The chart hasn't been shown to you, though you suspect there is one, and someone has access to it. Run, Mary, run. The air is stubborn and cold, mindless like you. Life moves with the horizon away from you. Turn left. Hail, Mary. There, on the side of the road.
Anyways, it's her right. She doesn't want to speak. She doesn't want to speak about it. Sometimes it could be very painful not to speak about it. And sometimes it could be painful speaking about this situation.
I was with her that afternoon, and nobody thought she was going to go, but the nurse came in and said, well, if you have anybody to call, you better call them now because she doesn't have that much to live. And I called Mariana, and she came, and we just sat there, and we listened to her breathing, and Mariana was counting because she had done some research, because she's a very, very practical person, which was wonderful. And I just sat there and we looked at her. And within an hour of Mariana coming back, she just stopped breathing. And I just kind of said, oh my God, she's gone. She just stopped breathing.
Did you think that she wanted Marianne to show up so the three could be together at the moment of passing?
It was so so emotional because I think, personally, I think that was the best gift we gave her. I would know I was her first love and Mariana was her last. And we were both there at her deathbed. And I just said goodbye. And after Mariana left, she had to go see the nurse. I went up to Katerina and I put my head on her chest. And there was nothing there. It was over.
I really can't.
It was amazing. And here was this person who I had loved so dearly. And she was just gone.
I can't imagine that kind of intimacy. It's never been a part of my life. Even with the passing of someone, I don't think I would have reacted as profoundly as you did.
I just wanted to touch her again in death. It was like a little part of me went with her.
When that person is missing, we cry. We cry inside, some of us, and some of us cry outside. So I had this really strange emotional situation where I had found a communication to come back to Canada to do a job, to do a photography session, but at the same time, unfortunately, to see a reality of our good friend Luigi pass away. It was very moving, very, very, very difficult at the same time. But then again, we have to realize that it will end in a certain situation where our friends will disappear and we will disappear.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
So I don't understand. Okay, there's no one definition of father in the USA. I wonder what that means for the rest of the world. But there are several definitions for the relationship between a man and a child. Jesus. There's legal father, putative father, alleged father, acknowledged father, adjudicated father, and presumed father. All right. Now, the legal father is the man married to the mother at the time of conception of birth of the child, or whose paternity has been otherwise determined by a court, not a tennis court.
The idea is that if you follow the teaching of the Bible, just for instance, you're gonna be fine. You know, if you follow the rules, you're gonna be fine. But we don't know, you don't know, if that's really what you want. That's been prescribed to you. A spiritual journey, you can still believe in Jesus, you can still believe in God, you can still believe whatever deity, but it's you to discover. In which sense? A religion, especially the religion that we follow in the West, religions that we follow in the West tell you that the God is outside you. The spiritual journey, God is inside you. So it's becoming conscious of that. And once you know, you realize that the divine is inside you, there is nothing else outside you. There is nothing that is important outside you. It is not in a selfish way, because that you're the only one that exists. On the contrary, you exist with the divine, so you exist with everything. So it's an inward journey to understand the whole.
This is the end. It's the end. That's it. All this time, all this energy, and this is the end of this film that you never really wanted to make. It's not the film you wanted. It's not the film I wanted. Anyways, I guess that's how life goes, or doesn't go. And everybody's dead. What happened to that? Everyone's dead. What does that exactly mean, right? Oh, and the other thing, like really, and the other thing is, do not fall for an actor in this production. Never fall for an actor. Never fall in love with them. Never, because it's never really true. You never really know what's going on. You're never really in their head. That's part of the game. That's part of the act, right?